Hello, I'm Su-Ming Khoo, and I'm at the National University of Ireland in Galway. My long title is Repair of Public Higher Education, Decolonization of Knowledge and Return of an Equitable Understanding for Quality. The word public is in brackets to show concern for a state of public disrepair in global higher education that has been created mainly by stealth and is connected to the disrepair of democracy and the public sphere. The current pandemic brings renewed attention to the disrepair that was already there, as well as potentially apocalyptic uncertainties that might mean that higher education cannot return to business as usual. Higher education may have to pivot, not merely by moving teaching or research activities onto digital platforms, but by thinking about a change of direction and thinking around the central purpose that we turn around. We have an opportunity to step away from the already chaotic, psychotic, and cynical enterprise to make what Arundhati Roy calls a reckoning. But we also have the chance to start to dream in a practical way about more equitable, just, sustainable, and careful transitions. Today, I want to focus on the central pole of publicness in higher education, imagining higher education as part of a pivot towards the kinds of knowledge activities that create social, ecological, economic, scientific, political, cultural, and artistic forms of solidarity, cooperation, reciprocity, and collective action, to counter the violence, futility, and waste of the fixation that we have with competition. Repair might be understood as a dual motif, as both a mending of worn outness and disrepair, and as a voyage of return, a voyage from the margins to the center. A great deal has been said about the dilemma of higher education being an iron triangle of cost, access, and quality. This is the model developed by John Daniel. This suggests that current models of funding and provision, by definition, cannot provide for increasing amounts of low cost, high quality, and widened access to higher education to the degree that is wanted and needed. The pressure on access continues to increase as higher education has become democratized throughout the world, and the discriminatory barriers that prevented specific groups of people from accessing it on the basis of their gender, race, religion, class, and disability have been progressively removed. Yet, public funding for higher education has diminished and stagnated. The idea of quality has often been used as an antagonist instead of a complement to widening access, since quality has been aligned with the goals of exclusivity and high cost. Concepts of quality control or quality assurance have been handed down to higher education from industrial manufacturing, and this has given higher education the completely inappropriate goal of attaining standardized and defect-free products. No amount of technological substitution or marketing can make this reductionist conception of quality less nonsensical for higher education. In 2004, John Daniel tried to widen his iron triangle of cost, access, and quality into a different shape, a pentagon, by substituting relevance to stakeholders for access and adding governance and the need for connectivity infrastructure to the higher education policy paradigm. It didn't help us one bit to understand the purpose of higher education. So instead, I tried to draw a different pentagon to explain the different pressures that are faced and contained in relation to the public mission of higher education. This is normally fairly minimally described in terms of economy, access, and attainment. This public mission is pushed in different directions by the squeeze on public funding, the push to deregulate the sector, the push towards new public management, and the push towards a particular way of working called performance contracting. Each of these policy vectors is tied to another by a fix. So the public mission of higher education is tied to deregulation by an entrepreneurial fix. The public funding squeeze is tied to deregulation by a philanthropic fix. The public funding squeeze is tied to new public management by a consultancy fix. New public management is tied to performance contracting by a third-party financing fix. And performance contracting is tied back to the public mission by a data and technology fix. Of course, this is a rather flat and two-dimensional way of seeing these vectors of higher education. Perhaps these might be better described in three-dimensional terms as a kind of table resting on four legs that hold up the public mission. So performance contracting, new public management, deregulation, public funding, they hold up the public mission. But the mission is being seriously destabilized by profit extraction and debt service, which are yanking at the legs and threatening to destabilize them and to destabilize the entire public mission. The public mission is also threatened by the technology fix's tendency to datafy the whole enterprise of higher education. And this gives rise to further concerns around data privacy with all the data emissions that come from the datafied higher education processes. Let us return or repair to a thick conception of quality in terms of public qualities in higher education, to look again at what is on the table. So in a way, I've taken you from the iron triangle to a wicked pentagon to an unstable table, and now back again to a triangle. But this triangle is to develop a thicker sense of the public in public higher education, and to use this idea of the public in public higher education to directly counter the disrepair and misdirection that public goods have suffered for the past 40 or 50 years. Theories of global and democratic public goods, specifically the work of Inge Koll and Angela Kalhoff, offer particularly strong contributions for renewing arguments for higher education as a global public good. Public goods are goods that are public because they address inequities. The vital inequities of health and life, the political or representational inequities of visibility, voice, and participation, and the existential or ontological inequities of misrecognition and epistemic injustice. A new theory of public goods conceptualizes public goods as this kind of triangle of publicness in three interdependent senses of the word public. Being public in consumption demands that there is equitable access and enjoyment to a good, like higher education, for example, prioritizing first and foremost historical vulnerabilities and existing harms, injustice, and discrimination as the first priorities. The second corner of publicness in the political sense, publicness in deliberation, entails informed, truthful, and participatory public sphere that again recognizes and prioritizes respect for minoritized knowledge, consent, voice, and agency. The third corner of the triangle, publicness in benefit, is concerned with ensuring a certain sense of reliability and safety of a good. So this directs our understanding of quality towards the public interest and approaches science and the issues of, let's say, scientific differences of opinion using ethical justifications such as harm reduction, non-maleficence, not doing harm, and generalizability or publicness of benefits. To conclude, I'd like to return to this dual motif of repair that first considers kintsugi, the Japanese art of golden repair. This is the repair that honors broken things as it restores their function. It is the beautiful repair. But at the same time, I'd like to consider Bell Hooks's idea of repairing as returning from the margin to the center. This might be thought of as the necessary repair. A necessary repair that is a just journey from the margin to the center. Such a just journey from the margin to the center conceives of critical internationalism as a journey of taking gender, race, coloniality, and class into account, and including the lives, experiences, and needs of the marginalized as first priorities. As Hooks instructs us, it is the responsibility of the center to move out, not expect the margin to move in. I can only think of this repair as a giving back, recalling these words by the Japanese poet Sankichi Toge, displayed here at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial. Give back. Give back my father, give back my mother, give back grandma, give back grandpa, give my son and daughter back, give me back myself. Give back the human race. As long as this life lasts, this life give back peace that will never end. So, just to bring it back to higher education, we may wish for the golden repair, the beautiful fix. But I argue today that we need public goods and we cannot ignore the necessary journey, the just repair, giving back the human. Please email me if you need more references or want to discuss any of the content.